How much gold and silver should you buy or do you need for the forthcoming financial troubles ahead? It's a very, very divisive question. There are a whole host of different opinions. I want to share my thoughts today on how much gold and silver I am accumulating and why. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and welcome to another Precious Metal Ramble. Now today I want to talk about how much gold and silver you should own, need to own, or will own with the looming recessions and financial instability that's ahead of us. Now this is a topic which has, of course, a lot of differing opinions on, and you could pretty much find any argument to suit any agenda out there in this big wide internet world, certainly here on YouTube and beyond as well. So I aim today just to give my own thoughts and opinions as it relates to me and my own financial circumstances. And I think that's the big key take-home message here, is that everybody's situations will be different, everybody's biases and agendas will be different too. So one person's thoughts on going all in might be very valid for them, but not for others. So it's important to remember that and also respect other people's opinion. So whilst I'm not an all-in silver kind of guy or gold, I do respect that some people feel that way and feel that they need to do that to protect their wealth. And that's absolutely fine. So with that in mind, this is not financial advice, it's just me talking about shiny things as it relates to my own circumstances, and it should be very important for you to consider talking to a professional financial advisor if you're worried about your own investments and where things are going. Now, investments is the first word that I really want to look at there, because silver and gold and investing in silver and gold is a really interesting phrase that a lot of people talk about and say. But for me, I don't necessarily view buying silver and gold as an investment, not as a traditional investment like you would a stock or a share. For me, it's about having this real thing. There's something that's different from numbers on a screen in a bank account or a stock or a share online. It's about something that is tangible and different and outside of the system. Now, I didn't used to think this way when I first got started stacking silver. I very much bought as a means to an end. I was very happy with the fact that I got some silver and I was going to hold the coins and then look to sell the coins at a later date when silver price was higher. But very quickly I fell down the rabbit hole of YouTube and silver tubing, and here we are 7 years later, and I have a significant amount of silver in my life and gold within my life as well. And it's all down to, of course, your own opinions and biases and agendas that have changed over that time. And for me, what has changed is this realization that there really is a need for wealth preservation over time. So I don't view silver and gold as traditional investments. I don't treat them like a stock or a share. And a lot of people that I've talked to in my life about gold and silver always get a little bit confused about this. And I've got a very good friend who, at the start of his kind of awareness of gold and silver, really only stuck with vaulted online options, which is great for some, but for me it's about this physical thing that if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And he's finally come around to this idea as well, to hold physically some gold and silver. Now, there's only really one reason why you would ever physically hold this stuff, and that's because you feel like at some point you might need to have this to release money or to be able to use it to buy things. There are a few great case studies around the world where gold and silver have been used in a emergency situation. You've only got to look throughout history, of course, to see that gold and silver were the portable pieces of wealth of choice for emergencies. You know, the Victorian era was notorious for it, with gold necklaces and rings and coins, embossed within different bits of jewelry and brooches and things, so that it was real and portable. And no more is that still true than today, where you see these digital currencies, and whether it's an actual digital cryptocurrency or whether it's just numbers in a bank account on a screen, for me they're exactly the same. If your bank goes down, if your card goes down, then really what is there left to do? The main thing though is its relationship to cash, and that's what concerns me most. So gone are the days where you would have, maybe 1% inflation a year within your currency in, whatever world position you're in. If it's the first world, second world, third world, you would have your currency. It would be worth a certain amount one year, probably worth a little bit less the following year. But most of the time, you could stick that money into a savings account and you'd have an interest above that inflation rate. So your money would be safe. It would be all right. Wasn't always the case, but it did happen most of the time. that's long gone. And that's been gone for a very long time, to be quite frank. And over this last sort of 10, 15 years, I remember just after I graduated university, there were some bonds and fixed accounts that you could get for 5 or 6%. And that was great, especially at the time when inflation was only 2 or 3%. But now, of course, that's not the case. So what I see these bits of silver and gold as are these high interest yielding wealth preservation bonds. Little bits of property, I sometimes call them as well, because they're real, they're physical, they're different from just numbers on a screen. It's like if you buy a house, you really do have this protection element there. It's real, you can't get rid of it. Now that's all fine and well, but what does it mean in terms of how much you should buy? That's the whole crux of this video. So how much do you or should you need for the forthcoming storms? Well, for me, there's always this element of risk that you've got to take with owning physical precious metals. So definitely not going all in. You never go all in on anything. For me, it's about having a good spread of different asset classes. So I like to think that having anywhere from 10 to 15% of a kind of investment portfolio, and again, I use the word investment portfolio there with a pinch of salt because, as I said, I don't view precious metals as an investment, but they're a diversification of a portfolio. So 10 to 15% is always a good thing. But I go one step further. I look at what you use in a particular month or year, and you've got to think about if, for whatever reason, there was a situation where you had to rely on this stuff. And we're not talking about just if there was a complete collapse of a currency. If that happens, that's a very different situation. But if you lose your job, if you lose your income, or if you have an unexpected set of bills that you need to pay, how much are you going to need on a given month or year to survive? And that's what I like to look to plan for. So to have a number, in my situation, I think have a number of years worth of mortgage protection, of, it's different for us in the UK because we don't have to pay absurd amounts for our healthcare beyond the kind of tax that we pay generally in life. But, having money aside for emergencies like healthcare, like buying a car, or if you need to repair your car, or if your boiler breaks down, or other emergency situations that you might need to have. So to have that as a safety net is great, is in my opinion a good idea. It's for those really unlikely scenarios. So if your job is very secure and you're not looking likely to lose it anytime soon, if you're in one of those fortunate kind of jobs, then great, perhaps you need less than others. But if you're in a job which might look like it's a bit shaky, or you might be on a downward spiral and you can see the business is failing and you're about to look to go, then perhaps saving some cash on the other side to make sure that you're ready for those eventualities is a good idea. So I always like to think at least a year's worth of supply of safety net is great. But if it's unlikely, then some of that money can go into gold and silver. If you're more secure in your position financially, if you've already got a significant cash reserve for those emergency funds, then you can look to increase the amount of gold and silver that you have, perhaps. It's down to everybody's individual circumstances. Now, if you are going to be going down the line of waiting for a currency to collapse, then, you've got to look at what you want to achieve out of your gold and silver in that situation. For a lot of people, the most important things are going to be food, water, healthcare. Those kind of things are imperative. So again, not that I'm really on board with going all in, but if you are expecting the dollar to collapse tomorrow, then the only way to preserve the buying power of any kind of wealth that you've accumulated is to have something that's real and physical that's there at the other side, and that's not going to inflate away to nothing. Now, I'm not a subscriber to that idea, and I don't think it's very likely, but at the same time, I get that there are people who feel that way. It is a very tough time out there for a lot of people. You've only got to look at the increase in cost of living right now. So there's a whole host of different opinions on this, and I do want to finish up with one sort of final message here, which is going to be about restraint. Just make sure that what you're doing and what you're buying fits within your own thoughts and strategies about how you want to interact with gold and silver. There is no other better way to do things than that. If you are beholden to a particular social media influencer and do whatever they say, regardless of what they say, just have a double think about whether it's right or wrong to just go all in on silver or gold. It's not necessarily the best financial idea. And whilst I don't like to give formal financial advice on this channel, that would be my only thing I'm comfortable saying, is never go all in on any financial product, whether it's stock or a share. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. That's the ultimate mantra here. So that is my thoughts and opinions. Ultimately, the summary here is buy what you think is right for you, what you expect to maybe need from your gold and silver in the future. If you want to take forward all of your wealth into an apocalyptic scenario, then all in on gold and silver is probably what you're looking at. But in my opinion, that's risky and not very good. You should have a mix of different things. So that is essentially what I wanted to say all about gold and silver and how much you should look to have or buy at any given one time. Thank you everybody for watching. If you're a BYB Rambling Society member, I really do appreciate you sticking around to the bitter end, listening to me waffle on about gold and silver. Otherwise, that is it from me. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks everyone for watching. If you're not subscribed and you've watched this far, then it's probably worth hitting that subscribe button because there are going to be videos like this that you'll like in the future. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one. Have a fantastic week ahead. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.